Hi, this is Joe Chambers. Thanks for watching Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage Vault Series. The Vault Series is a series of interviews that we shot starting back in 2004, 2 years before the Musicians Hall of Fame and Museum opened to the public. If you like what you see, please be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. Thanks for watching. Today's guest is Marshall Grant. Marshall and Luther Perkins were mechanics in Memphis, and at that period of their life, they allowed Johnny Cash, when he moved to Memphis, to join them in their band, which later became Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Two. About 12 years ago, I went to Memphis and met up with Marshall, and we went to all the pertinent places in Memphis that had anything to do with the forming and the early years of Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Two, later Tennessee Three. I hope you enjoy it. Marshall Grant.
Now we're coming up on the Greyhound bus station, where when John came into town, he came to this bus station coming up on the right here. And his brother Roy, who I worked with at Auto Sales, came up and met him, and then they walked from the bus station down to 309 Union, which is where we're headed for right now, and then I'll tell you what happened there. But this is, no matter what you've heard, this is the place that it came into, this building right here. And at that time, it was brand new. It had only been open a year or so, but this is it right there. When he come to town, it was discharged in New Jersey, and he caught a Greyhound bus to right here. And this is where Roy picked him up. And now we're going to go down to 309, which is just a block down here, 2 blocks. Joe, when we get down here to 309, I want you to slow down and stop if you can at the first overhead door on this side of the building, because that's the door that came in. Now we're rolling on down here to automobile sales, which is just a half a block away now, so you can see he didn't have a very long walk. Let's slow down right here, Joe. See that building door right there? Now this sort of ratty here now, but it wasn't then. But this is the door right there that he walked through. But we're going to go on the other side and show you how he came in and tell about the meeting. Roy worked right here. You can see where his lift that raised cars up. That's where Roy worked. And this is where I worked right here. You can see the lift where I worked right here. Roy walked out there one day and he said, "You know, Marshall, Luther and I had just been playing a little guitar in there and sang a little bit." He said, "I got a brother that's in service. When he gets out," he said, "he sings just like Hank Snow." He said, "I bet that he would like to join with you guys and play a little music." I said, "Sure." I had a car up on this lift, and I had my hands above my head and I was turning like this. And right there's the door. Even though you can't see it open, at the end of this building there's a big overhead door. And I was right here working, just right on a car that was on this lift. And I happened to glance up. Roy had come by earlier and said, "I'm going to go up and pick up JR up at the bus station." And then about 30 minutes later, he came back and I was working right here. And I saw him come in the door. And so help me, a lot of people I don't think believe it, but when I saw he and Roy coming in the door, there was a little tingle that started almost at my heel and sort of come up the back of my leg. And I watched them walk this way, the two of them, just walk this way. All these mechanic stalls right here. And the closer he got, and this is the truth, the closer he got, the more this little tingle would come up my back. And by the time he got to me, which was right here, it was almost the exact tracks. By the time he got to me, that little tingle had gotten to the back of my head. And it was almost like the hair was sticking out on the back of my head, even though it wasn't. But then he walked straight to me, he and Roy walked straight to me. Roy was about a step ahead. And he said, "Marshall, I want to introduce my brother to you that I've told you about. JR, Marshall Grant. Marshall's is my brother J.R. And by that time, so help me, I really and truly had just a funny feeling that went all over me, and for what reason I understood later, but I didn't understand then. So his first words to me was, "I hear you do a little picking." I said, "Yeah, very little." And he laughed a little bit, said, "Me too." But that was the little dressing room right there where Luther and I used to go in and play our guitar. And it still sends chills up and down my back to stand in this place and talk about it. And it's very emotional. Sometimes I can't even talk about these things, but sometimes I can. And I feel this is important, so I'm going to keep my composure. But right here was where the introduction was met, and I take no credit for putting the group together because I didn't. The three of us put it together ourselves. It was just something that happened and something that worked, and that was 55 years ago. And look what we did. All started right here. Just a simple introduction. But what a great man. And what a great man Luther Perkins was too. Started right here where I'm standing. I never thought I'd be standing in front of a camera explaining this, but here I am, and I'm proud. And when John and Luther and I started getting together, we all three played rhythm guitars. That's all we could play. And this, as I said, is by now it's August of 1954. And we kept hearing this record of what we call this kid around Memphis there, and we knew that the label was there in Memphis, but we didn't know anything about it. But that kid wound up being Elvis Presley, Scotty Moore, and Bill Black. And so we decided that we wanted to get on record, and here we all three were playing rhythm guitars. And so I made the statement one night, if we're going to try to get on record, we need to change these instruments up. Luther said, "Well, I know where I can buy an electric guitar." And so he went up to OK House Music Store the next day, which is only 3 blocks up from where we worked. In this building right here was OK House Music Store, and that's where Luther borrowed his guitar, in that building right there, 115 Union. And so that's where I bought my bass. And so the next day Luther went up, and sure enough, he borrowed his guitar, which was a little Telecaster, sort of beat up. And I had a little amplifier that I still have, a little silver tone amplifier that I paid $45 for. And Luther came back and he said, "You know, Marshall, he's got an old bass up there you might be interested in." So the next day I go up there and I said to Mr. Lapworth, I said, "Luther said you got a big old upright bass up here you might want to sell." And he said, "Yeah, I got one back there sort of beat up." We went back there and looked at it, and it was beat up. And I said, "Well, what do you want for this thing?" And this is the first time that I had ever touched a bass. And he said, "I'll take $25 for it." And so I bought it for $25 and took it home, and we didn't know how to tune it. And so finally found out from a friend of mine how you tune a bass. And then we didn't know anything about playing it, but we kept fiddling around with it and messing with it. And but we finally got it tuned, and then we put adhesive tape all over the neck with the notes on it, and then we started playing little rhythm patterns. And before the night was gone, we played a rhythm pattern. The only thing that we could do was what the world knows us as now, that boom chicka sound. And that was established that first night, right there. From Luther not even knowing how to play his electric guitar. John was playing my guitar, and he had this old awkward lick that he has, and I was just playing the bass and slapping, We was having fun. But that style that stuck with Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Two for all of those years was born right there that night in the den in my home in Memphis at 4199 Nokomis. It was born right there. And that's where we put all of the songs together. We went to song. So that was the beginning of it. Through these doors right here, and the United Way Galloway Methodist Church, in the basement, is where Johnny Cash, Luther Perkins, and myself, Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Two, did our very first concert We had never played in front of people other than our families before this, but we walked right through these doors. And there they were, about 10 ladies, give or take, about 10 ladies right in there, and they stood up and they applauded a little bit. We had really no recognition. It was an applause of appreciation. And we came out here and we did about a 15-minute show. We didn't know what was in store. God, if I'd have known what was in store, I don't know what would have happened.